pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next thing we'll talk about is the approval of the minutes for April 15th, 2021 regular school board meeting. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes, can we get a second?
Second.
Mr. Chanel, Mr. Castaner, could you please call roll?
Mr. Bossy,
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Castaner, do we have any public comments emailed?
Read it down.
Okay. We'll move on to the first recommendation. Dr. Tucker, the floor is yours.
Yes, I'd like to introduce our new school treasurer, Mr. Jeremy Frazier. Mr. Frazier is a graduate of the College of Mount St. Joseph, where he is a major in accounting. He then went on to NKU for his master's in accounting. Jeremy is a CPA. He spent the last 4 years in the city of Hamilton for their school district. Prior to that, he spent 6 years with Butler County as administrator in their payroll department. Spent some time with the Kroger Company. Prior to that, spent some time with Messer Construction. He's a lifelong member of Butler County, and we are proud and honored to have Jeremy part of the team. So, welcome, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you.
Don't forget to do
Mr. Frazier, if you have a couple comments here before we
Sure.
vote you in.
Sure. First, I'd like to say that I was so impressed with how you guys have dealt with the whole treasure search process. The level of professionalism that the board has shown throughout this process has just been top notch all the way around. So I want to thank you guys for that. Appreciate it. I've gotten so many texts and phone calls, especially over the last, 2-3 days, community members, district administrators, and that's really hit home for me to know that this place is going to be a great fit for me and my family, and just that we are so happy and proud to be part of the Rand family. So appreciate that. I have with me tonight my lovely wife, Claire, and our 3 children. Eddie is in the gray, Bobby's in the blue, and our little girl, Audrey. And I just want to thank you guys for all the love and support that you always show me.
Thank you so much. If you don't mind, we'll take a couple pictures real quick before we do anything else. Hold on, let's do this. Can we get a motion from the school board? To get a motion from a school, before we do that, I do want to say thank you to the Board of Education publicly for your flexibility for the meetings and the interviews and everything else. Also want to publicly thank Chris Brown of Butler County ESC who assisted in the search as well. Say something about him at the end of the meeting as well. But with that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve Jeremy Frazier as our next treasurer here at Ross Local Schools.
Motion.
Okay, we got Andy Chanel. I'm sorry, Mrs. Webb first. Andy Chanel second. Mr. Cassidy, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle,
Yes.
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Bossy.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. The board to come up and we'll get a picture right over here in front.
Sure.
And then Claire, we're gonna have you guys come up in just a second, just do a
Okay.
family shot, if you don't mind.
You guys can do that. Yes.
We have this
Baseball
uniform
game.
in the car.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very good.
Slide in, maybe Heather comes in.
Go ahead, guys. We'll get a picture taken. Come on.
All right, here we go.
Make sure you smile.
Yeah.
One more.
Okay, and then we'll get a family photo too.
Thanks, appreciate it.
You wanna grab that back? And then whatever's on the ground. Yeah, grab it. You should be good. Just don't go walking.
Okay.
I was trying to prevent it from going back
All right,
out.
One more? Perfect.
Awesome. So you guys, thank you so much. Grab your stuff with you.
We'll hustle there.
What about baseball game?
I'm glad everybody's on contract about the budgets and you get.
See you guys. You guys.
Okay, speaking of family and community, we have a presentation?
Yeah, we're excited to have Mr. O'Neill and G Foods. Been looking forward to this presentation for a while, and I am fortunate enough to sit on their board of directors, and Mrs. Webb also, just an exciting group of students and doing some great things, and Levi and Elena and Tom, the floor is yours. Welcome.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Here's my part.
That is a strong.
Go with that.
All right, so to start, we just wanted to say good evening, obviously, and thank you for having us here. We love coming out to the board meetings here. We started, when we first pitched the idea 3 years ago, we came and the Ross Board of Education was supportive of us, and then here we are 3 years later, and that still holds true, very supportive of us. So when Dr. Conkle sent us the invite right away, without hesitation, we are here tonight. So as Dr. Conkle mentioned, I'm Levi Grimm, the Assistant Director of G Foods here, and I'm joined by Elena B., a junior at Ross, who serves on our finance department here. But the purpose that we wanted to come here tonight was, one, share updates of what we've done through this year. The community obviously has been hurting a lot right now, and so we've done a lot as an organization for that. We have future plans, and we also wanted to share for the new board members we haven't been able to formally introduce and share our story, a little bit about our founding. And so that's what we're going to start with here. 3 years ago at the end of 2017, about November of there, right down the hall in Mr. O'Neill's 402 classroom, the idea is, it grew. It started there by a project with Samsung and Ibeca Virtual Schooling tasked by the United Nations to figure out how to end poverty and hunger in our communities. It was this lofty goal that the students there, they didn't really see the connection right away, and so we were one of 8 high schools in the entire world asked to be a part of this project. So that was something very special, and the students took this to heart. So they worked with students in South Korea at that time to understand what really caused hunger and poverty in their communities. And they kind of found a few different factors. They kind of formed their own solution from that. And at the time, we focused more on the food waste aspect. We noticed that food waste was a really big issue that people really didn't have attention to at that time. And so we saw that food could really be a vehicle for change in the community, not only to end poverty in the community, but for health issues, nutrition. There's so many that food reaches into that we could do something about it. And so the students there, with Mr. O'Neill's support, they pushed us to develop this entrepreneurial mindset, take this out of the classroom, create their own organization, and that's what we are today, our own organization run by 10 high school students. So to talk about our operations, to lead right into what we're doing right now, I'm going to pass it over to Ms. Mead.
So in the food system, food waste is everywhere, from farmers to producers to restaurants and grocers to even at your house. And G Foods aims to solve all food waste all around this issue. In partnering with farmers, we take produce that is excess from their fields. We rescue food from restaurants and grocers that was excess, or maybe they weren't able to sell it. And we take this all back to our kitchen at the Ross Administration Building. From here, we upscale it, or we transform it into things like apple chips or frozen peppers, which we then are able to give back into the community to those who need it most. We reach out to individuals and families who are struggling with hunger, and also nonprofit organizations in the community that do similar missions to ours, that have more of an outreach. And through this, we've started out quite small with only 50 pounds a week, back in 2019 when we first started. And through our networking and connections, we've been able to grow this to over 10,000 pounds a week. So one of our major partners was Food Rescue US, and through them we've been able to partner with USDA's Farmers to Families program. And since last May, we've been able to take semi-loads of food every week and give it out to nonprofits in the community and individuals who wouldn't have been able to receive this due to the pandemic. And through this, we've been able to grow our numbers exponentially, with Mr. Grimm will be talking about here in a minute.
Yeah, definitely. So the food that she talked about, the starting small, I think when I first came on, we were doing that where it was the 1 carload of food a week, and we were ecstatic to go right down the road and grab that. But from where we are now, we're now sending and coordinating logistics for 5 distribution sites in Kentucky and other parts of Ohio. So we are sending, we're talking to the produce companies, we're sending semis of food to them. So it's just, for me, it's been really humbling and just really cool to see the growth that we've had from that. And so in total, we look at it from the numbers perspective. The first year, 2017, 2018, 2,000 pounds of food. 2019, we go to 20,000 pounds of food. 2020, the pandemic hits, we began coronavirus relief program, 1.5 million pounds of food. So far in 2021, we are already at 4.5 million pounds of food. We're going to hit 5 million by the end of this week. So 2 days from now, we'll be at 5 million. And by the end of this year, we're looking to do about 7 million pounds of food. So it's been just really crazy to see the growth that we've had, sending to 70 nonprofit organizations across 3 states. And the nonprofits that we're working with, this is food that they otherwise would just not have available to them. So the bakery items, the dairy, these are items that they can't get from a food bank, but we're able to provide for them, and it's keeping out of landfill. So a win-win for everybody there as well. But as students working back, thinking back to this think globally mindset that we have of solving these issues, that we're not content just to stop there. We're going to keep going. We have more innovation projects. And so Ms. Mead, talk to us a little bit about where the company is going to go, what projects we're looking at to kind of work more.
As students, we realized that innovation is a key part of our organization and community. We take any challenge that comes to us and we solve it through innovating and brainstorming. And one of our major projects we're working on right now is our mobile market. So one of the big issues we found when we're delivering or giving food to those people in need is that they don't have a way of getting to our facility. And it's really not the most logical solution for us to drive out to everybody's house and hand deliver food. So we've decided to take an old church bus and transform it into a mobile grocery store. Packed with fresh food and rescued produce, we will drive our mobile market into communities, into areas in our local community designated as food deserts, which means that they don't have access to fresh food. By bringing this fresh food to those people in need, we're hoping to expand our outreach to reach those who really need our food. And along these lines, we have other innovation projects going on, such as our OLC project, which is a outdoor learning center, so gardening for the students, as well as a app-based food farming kind of app. And all of these applications we continuously work on as our company grows. And Mr. Grimm, would like to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So going right off of growth, for the board members that have been here a while, you've seen our growth beyond this, and it's really been really big in the Ross community, kind of gaining that momentum. And for us, it's been really cool to have students from other parts of the country and really big national companies start to notice us and take notice these small students in this small rural community here. And so looking into next year, I'm going to be graduating high school, starting a branch at Miami University, where I'll be attending there in Oxford. But we've also had some interest from other students in the Cincinnati area. We've had students in Florida, Virginia Beach, that all want to start their own version of G Foods and capture what they've done here at Ross and see how they can replicate that. So we are going to keep going from that. It's once again thanks to the Ross Board of Education, the Butler Tech Board that supported us along the way. So especially right now with the changes with the administration building, supporting office space, redesign pantry, we'd like to especially thank Dr. Kunkel and Mr. Huff for helping us with that. So it's just been a really great time for the organization, and we like to always thank the board, and you'll be hearing a lot more from G Foods in the coming years. So we can, any questions or anything?
I have one for you. So with you graduating next week, what is going to be your role with G Foods?
What is your plan?
Yeah, so similarly to what Mr. Rivera did, so for the new board members, he was the senior, the original founder of it all. He went to Ohio State's kind of now our executive director, started a branch of G Foods there. So that's what I'm going to do. We're already working with the culinary department at Miami University. We have 5 food donors already lined up in the Miami community there that on a moment's notice we could activate to donate food there. And so myself and about 3 other high school seniors in the G program already, we're going to go there. The university is already supporting that. We already have connections with professors there. And the city council even reached out to us and said, we love what you're doing in Ross. How can the city of Oxford take advantage of that? And so that's where we're headed next.
Levi, for maybe the new board members and maybe the community that's watching this, when you pitched this originally, way back then, to Mr. O'Neill, okay, being on the Butler Tech board, Mr. O'Neill, I don't know if it's public or not, he's only got a couple more years, so they're going to use him big time. He's going to be spread amongst the county, but his style is unique. So when you, and he was the teacher of the year, by the way, in 2019. When you pitched that to Mr. O'Neill back in the day, talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, just his original thought, his challenge to you guys when you first came up with this concept.
Yeah, the first thing that he really told us was when we looked at the issue, we thought, it isn't applicable to where we are here. That was the first thing he told us was don't see the boundaries. One thing that I always think of, he has the world clock in his classroom. So seeing beyond the Ross community is something that he drilled into us. And then also the entrepreneurial spirit. That's the biggest part of it, is not seeing it as a class project, so taking it out of the classroom, but then making it sustainable, student-powered, but then also something that he's really taught me and began my mentorship for this is seeing the inner change-making power that students have. We've really developed this, and it's something that I really attached myself to, and Ms. Mead definitely is one of the students that we just see not really boundaries or the optimism that can come from just hitting head on with obstacles is something that high schoolers typically aren't known to do super well. And so having Mr. O'Neill that just constantly gives us those obstacles, you're eventually just going to learn to break them down. And so that's something that his classroom is really good at doing.
It is amazing.
I like the way you put that, Mr. Good.
Mrs. Hayes, do you have anything for these
Did
guys?
you say who is coming, will the next senior class, the juniors now will become the president? Is that what, will you take over that? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm a junior right now, so my class, I think there's 7 of us right now, but we'll all step up into that leadership position once Levi and then a few of the other seniors do continue on.
And then, for underclassmen, how can they join, or do you have to be a certain
Yeah.
age? I didn't know, how the freshman class is pretty large this year, so.
Definitely.
They'll be.
So we did
This year
already.
under their belt.
Yeah, definitely. And I think really the school this year has been a really good opportunity with the growth that we've had as a company. We've had tons of interest from students needing these service hours. So one example is typically when we do big, trying to get new students involved, we'll get 10 or so students that are really involved or want to join. And this year we had 30 students who were interested, and the majority of them were all underclassmen. And so we were working on onboarding them. It's a longer process, just like a normal job would be. So we're teaching them those skills. But yeah, we're gaining that support. And then Ms. Mead specifically works a lot with elementary students and middle school students, the Go Green Club with Ms. Emenacker there. We are doing events with them to teach. So by the time they get to us, they already know about food waste.
Mr. Chanel, do you have anything?
I know, I'm very impressive, both of you.
One of the most exciting things for the Butler Tech School Board is when it says, my name, just representing us, but Ross. Because everyone on that board talks about these guys and Mr. O'Neill almost every single meeting, We're so lucky. We're so lucky. So, guys, thank you so much. Mr. Boston, do you have anything?
We go back in time. He was peeling apples one day, and I brought him some more apples to peel. I mean, that's how fundamental it was at the beginning. And I've just watched him grow and expand to the point that I just really can't comprehend the numbers of the size, the volume. It's just hard for me to try to share that with, because I'm active in a food effort in the Cincinnati area, and trying to throw those numbers around, it's just, they can't comprehend. I can't communicate clearly, the body. But when I see the semis come through, I understand that. So, keep it up.
Thank you.
I would ask, as a community member, what's the best way, if I wanted to donate or, help your guys' efforts, what would the best way for me to do that?
Yeah, there's two primary ways. So obviously the donations is really huge for us. Per pound of food, it costs us less than 1/10 of a cent to rescue that food. So donations really go really far compared to what a food bank can handle. But then volunteering is really big for us. So all these food pickups is done through a mobile application that we license. And so during the school day, we have 20 rescuers that are doing out and about food pickups and direct drop-offs for us during the school day. And so for community members, just visit our website and all that information's there. But those volunteer opportunities fit your schedule whenever you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mr. Neal, thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Dr. Conklin, I'm disappointed. I thought we were gonna solve that senior issue and not let them graduate.
No, we're trying to figure out how to keep you here. I told you. Public text.
Not important.
We're gonna stay.
Well, I've got to run. I've got a connection with South Korea teachers in a moment.
Mr. Renaud, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well done. Thank you. Well, I'm ready to go home.
Impressive.
Yeah. Dr. Kunkel, floor is still yours, actually.
Yeah, let me, under section superintendent reports and recommendations, I just want to comment on the resolution that we're going to pass. The high school, the school hours next year will be board approved. Those will be up on our website the next day or so. The high school hours next year will be 7:10 to 2 p.m. The middle school and intermediate building will be 8:05 starting and ending at 2:50. And both elementaries will be the same, 9:15 to 3:45. So that's part of the resolution that the board will pass tonight, and that will be up on the website in the near future. So I like to block items B through H. When you get to letter H, we are blocking schedules A through E. Schedule F will be a separate vote. So I like to block items B through H. Under H, we're blocking A through E, and F will be a separate vote.
Can we get a motion to approve under superintendent recommendations, B through H, and then under H, A through E, please?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we get a second? Mrs. Hayes, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Castanero, are we clear on who's abstaining for Schedule F?
Yep, that'd be it.
Okay.
Yep.
So Schedule F, I'd like to have that as a separate vote under personnel schedules.
Can we get a motion to approve under H, letter E? Can we get a first for that, please?
Motion.
Mrs. Webb, can we get a second?
I'm sorry. It's okay.
Mrs. Hayes will be second.
Yes.
And then Daniel will stay on this. Go ahead.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes?
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
No.
Abstain. You want to abstain on this one? It's for
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's,
I apologize.
No, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, abstain on that, yeah.
Mrs.
I
Hayes?
apologize.
Yep.
Yes.
And Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Okay.
Next item, we have business operations. There's two items, A and B. Item B is a resolution to declare urgent necessity for Nelson Stark. And that is item B. I'd like to block both those two together, A and B, under business operations.
Can we get a motion to approve A and B, B being the urgent necessity?
Motion.
Mrs. Hayes, can we get a second?
Second.
Mr. Chanel? Mr. Castaneda, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Okay, Mr. Castaneda, we're moving on to treasurer's reports. A is just the investments, that's normal posting. You want to recommend,
The second piece is under letter B is the 5-year forecast. You have a copy of that in front of you. It was also posted in Board Docs. We're asking for approval of that 5-year forecast this evening.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve letter B under Treasurer's Report? Can we get a first, please?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we get a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hayes, would you call the roll, Mr. Castaner?
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Fossey?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes? Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move on to reports from the school board, and we'll start off with Mr. Bossy with the OHSAA report.
Had the opportunity to join another dozen board members across the state of Ohio with a Zoom meeting with the commissioner of the Ohio Athletic Association. And it was supposed to be an opportunity to have more dialogue and questions and answers at a higher level. The Zoom concept doesn't really allow that to, instead of a personal meeting, which was supposed to happen this past year in Columbus. But the information that was transferred from the commissioner to me, I thought was worthy of sharing to the other board members. First of all, our athletic association in Columbus is in dire financial stress. With the lack of income that they receive from tournaments across the state of Ohio, they've had to make significant amount of financial changes, basically cuts in personnel, cuts in benefits, and depleted all their savings that they've had. So that was a point that was kind of like, you're gasping like, what the hell's going on here? But that's what's going on in Columbus that isn't really publicly known by the typical parent in the athletic efforts here that will occur in downtown Ross, Ohio. Some of the changes that had to occur this past year, which I think have been pulled off pretty well, is that they had to change the locations of the tournaments. They can no longer afford the high-profile locations for tournaments. Columbus, obviously, Ohio State University was the hub of tournaments. I personally still will never forget the championship basketball tournament that Roger Bacon here in Cincinnati played against St. Vincent St. Mary, which was LeBron James' senior year, and Roger Bacon beat him. I mean, this was a monstrous facility and standing room only. It's just unbelievable for a championship high school game anywhere in America. But a lot of the big venues that they've had to use in Ohio now have been cut down to just using regional school facilities for the regional games as well as the championship games. So it's been a major shift in reducing the profile of state championships. And it's been obviously financial driven. One that sticks out in my mind that is really turned out to be a big plus, and it's from our local community. The Lindner family donated the tennis complex off of 71 for the state championships. And that's a high profile facility. So because they donated, it was no cost to the state of Ohio. And that's one that didn't really suffer. I think it maybe even gained. The other action they had to take to cover some of their losses and revenue is that we pay a fee to be part of the association. And that fee is going up. There also is a desire and a plan that they're going to be charging schools for every student that's going to be participating in a sport. So if you have 75 students in football, there's one cost, but it'd be less if you only had 50. So they're going to charge per student. They got to figure out ways to generate more revenue. So that was one of the inside opportunities to discuss and understand what's going on in the state of Ohio. There are some other issues that I don't want to get into in depth. Be happy to talk outside. But the desire for male participation in female athletics through the transgender concept is a big pressure on athletics in Ohio, as well as other states. There's a lot of discussion going on in other states. Our commissioner basically tried to reassure the group that there are certain requirements already in place in writing in Ohio that will at least control and manage that particular effort. So that's a real live concern or issue going on in the state of Ohio right now. I think there's some optimism as we turn the corner for next year that we can be back on a building program in the Ohio Athletic Association operations and creative desires to do some newer, broader things. So the attitude is right. That's what I liked about it. The attitude was right, closing the meeting out. So with that in mind, I'll move on.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions around the OHSA? Yeah, I mean, they took a huge hit because of the not having the tournaments and everything else, so got to make it up somehow. We'll go to the board Butler Tech report and try to hone it in all that's related to Ross and Ross kids or this board. The first thing that we talked about, we had a board effectiveness committee meeting. I'm on that committee, and one thing you need to put as a board member at upper administration on your calendar for next year, October 26th, is going to be the all boards meeting, and it's going to be at Butler Tech, where they invite all the board members, and it's a neat evening. There's student showcases, and they feed you and everything. It's really nice. The ACTE National Convention is in New Orleans, so I may attend that. It's in December, I believe. I'll let you guys know if I end up doing that. There was a retirement recognition for Ross Senior High School. Mr. Brian Lean retired he was a teacher here through Butler Tech. He had 39 years in education. John Graff, the superintendent, said the most popular song 39 years ago was "Eye of the Tiger." Thought that was kind of funny. So congratulations to Mr. Brian Lean. He's a really good teacher here at Ross. He'll be missed. Butler Tech was recognized as a school board, the A to Z Award, and it was presented to the school board that night from the OSBA, a representative. Dr. William Sprinkles spoke and presented at our board meeting about access, equality, inclusion, and diversity. He's heading up a group, and where this comes into the Ross realm is he's got 60 members strong in this group where they meet monthly, and they're going to come up with projects and different things along that line. And this year's theme that they're working on the next 12 to 15 months is called Good Trouble. Good Trouble. So that's the theme. John Graff, the superintendent of Butler Tech, gave us an update on the Natural Science Center, and the groundbreaking was today for the Natural Science Center. And the update was, I gave you guys the flyby before, I think. It's similar to that, just kind of going over the numbers. He likes to say it's under budget by like 1.5%, but that can change tomorrow. So it's construction, which we're well aware of. Paul Carpenter is the treasurer for Butler Tech. He presented the 5-year forecast. And the one thing he's looking forward to is the new biennial budget, which will come out July, I think, 1 or end of June. Butler Tech graduation was Monday the 17th. Myself and Mrs. Webb, I went to they did 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. I went to the 4 o'clock at Cintas, and it was amazing how organized it was. Kathy DeBlasi runs that for Butler Tech, and she is amazing. I mean, it was unreal how organized that was. And also Melissa, help me with Melissa's last name. Wiseman, who's one of the secretaries, I think that's her title, or something else there, but she kind of helped with the graduation. It was just amazing, amazing. That's the Butler Tech report for this month. The main thing to take away from that report is the 26th of October for upper administration and board members. It's usually like around, I think you went 1 year, Chad. It's like 5 or 6 o'clock. It's a neat evening to see all the stuff that goes on at Butler Tech. That's a very fun board to be on, but when you go there, you just gotta get in your saddle and hang on, because they're doing stuff. It's amazing. It is amazing. They got a really good group of people. So, any questions on that? Okay, so tonight we're going to do something a little different. Instead of going around the table for each board member, I'm going to read off a lot of stuff that everybody would probably repeat, and then hit on some important things that I think the community really needs to hear. Really needs to hear. It's already kind of running around on social media, so we're going to squash some of those things, hopefully, or at least give an update on that. The very first thing I want to talk about is our next board meeting will be open to the public. We planned on doing that for the last few months. We knew we were going to do that. We were kind of waiting to get through school. So, and then that'll be posted on our district website. All of our board meetings during construction will be at the high school. Again, Dr. Kunkel will update that as well. The next thing that we all want to do, obviously, is congratulate the senior class of 2021. And we are really looking forward to, as a board, going to that graduation, and excited to see the high school administration put on the exact same thing that Butler Tech did the other day. Obviously, we want every senior, and not even just the seniors, but all the students to have a healthy and exciting, hopefully, summer that'll be probably way different than last. So we're really excited for that for the students. As a board, we also want to recognize the All Sports Award that we won for the SWAC. Hats off to Mr. Richards, Mr. Rettinger, and then all the head coaches and all the athletes for us winning the All Sports Award. And we won it running away. It was nice. It was really nice. We also want to publicly thank and welcome Jeremy Frazier, our new treasurer, and his family to the district. His reputation in Butler County and the county auditor side and the school side is unreal. So we're very, very excited for that. We want to thank the retirees. We're going to do something a little more public in June. We want to thank the retirees as well. Thank Tom O'Neill and his students who came tonight and presented for G-Food. And then the one thing that I really want to emphasize, on June 2nd, a lot of the guidelines are going to change in the state of Ohio. They need to marry the state, the CDC. All that being said, we will publicly come out with a statement from the Ross Board of Education and Superintendent early in June on mask, distance learning, and things like that that will be removed hopefully next year. So we will publicly comment on that through the superintendent as well. So there's no rumors going around. There will be something out June 2nd or 3rd. So with that being said, we'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can we get a first, please? Motion. Mrs. Hayes, can we get a second?
Second.
Mr. Chanel, Mr. Cassidy, could you call roll?
Mr. Bossy?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.